Hey everybody, how are you doing? Welcome back to this video. This is going to be a demonstration, a continuation of this still life pictures. So a still life is basically an arrangement of inanimate objects. We usually like to make still lifes indoors, sitting on a table, on the floor, on a chair. Uh, when you go outside and paint like the entire environment very wide. It really looks more like a landscape picture. If the main idea of your painting is not the objects, but more of the surroundings, it's not going to be a still life painting. So it's not going to have the same effect. So this is a little bit more intimate, it's closer to you, closer to the viewer, and they are inanimate objects. So that means that they are not moving, they are not alive. I mean, obviously flowers do have life, but they don't move on their own. So it has to be inanimate objects. We shouldn't have any flying butterflies, birds, puppies, kitties, uh, roaming around anywhere, because that would not count as a still life. So what I did the other day is I started with this vase here, and to give it that um, transparent look, I added a lot of water, and I didn't paint the entire thing. I left some white spaces, so it gives the illusion that it's see-through. Okay, I didn't even erase the edge of the table here, so it looks like we're looking through it, uh, with glass. Here, I tried to make a pear, but it came out a little bit too green, too dark green. Sorry about that. It came out too foresty green, and now it kind of looks like an avocado. So I'm gonna I'm gonna say this is an avocado, not a pear anymore. It turned into an avocado. So what we're gonna do today is that we're gonna paint this can here of oil. I wanted it to be a Coke can or a soda, but we'll just we'll just call it oil. So, and after that, I think I'm going to go ahead and make a third flower. I'll show you how to do that. There's like a sort of like a cheating way to do it. That's what I did here. And then we're going to give it a wash here on the table, and then another wash for the background. I don't want to work too much on the background, just the three objects. So if you're doing this project for the still life, I would like a minimum of three objects on the table, arranged for your still life. You can put some kind of a bowl or a plate underneath. You don't have to, but at least three objects. So we have 1, 2, 3. All right. I think I'm gonna paint this can over here red. So I have a dark crimson red here. That's sort of drying up, but I put it inside a bag so air would not come in, and that way I can preserve it just a little bit more. All right. It's looking kind of clumpy, so I think I need to get more. Yeah, this has dried up. So let's go ahead and get more. Hang on. Alright, so we're back. I got the red paint here that I needed. This is Alizarin Crimson Hue by Liquitex. This is a professional level. You don't have to get professional. You can buy student grade. Save yourself some money. But what I like about Crimson is that it's a deep red. Very deep. It's dark. It's very elegant. It's not like Fire Engine, but it's more like this. See? It's a very deep red. I like it. Okay. So back where we were. There's my crimson there. Look at that. And what you want to do is if you have excess paint, you kind of want to flatten it on the plate because then it's going to look all messy and clumpy. You don't want to do that. You want to kind of keep it flat. It'll give you a smoother look. That's if you want a smooth look. If you don't want a smooth look, then you can add more paint and that's a different style called impasto, but we're not doing that right now. We're doing a smooth painting of an oil can. So as you can see, I was talking earlier about hues, tints, tones, and shades. And what I like to do, I like to lay down the hue, the pure color that I'm going to use on the object. So obviously it's going to be red. You don't have to cover it completely because we are going to do some blending here at the bottom with gray and black. Okay. You want to cover most of the middle, and you can even use a little bit of water. Just a little bit of water, not too much, but just a little bit of water, and it'll help the paint flow. It'll help the paint flow. All right. Okay, we're almost there. Make sure you stay inside the shapes. Go around it pretty smooth and it'll look better. You see that? All right. Very cool. I love this red. One of my favorite colors. I like painting with reds. I like painting with blues and greens. I'm not too fond of the other colors like yellow, orange, and all that. But I do like these colors. Okay, so most of this is covered up with the hue of red. Okay, so hue is a color by itself, not mixed with anything, in its pure form. And then when we add neutral colors into the mix, like white or gray or black or even brown, that's when you start getting all those tones and shades and tints. As you can see, I started with the hue of sort of like a forest green, and then I started blending that green with white and yellow, and then down here I mixed the green with gray and black. I even added a little bit of brown to give it that natural look, and we came out with this. So it has dimension, has a 3D pop. Here also I use some blue mixed with a little bit of gray. I didn't go too dark on this one because I wanted the vase to look more see-through. Okay, so if it's more transparent, you don't want to put too much paint. Okay, you want to give it like a wash. Here you can go a little bit darker because it's not see-through. Same thing here. All right, now that we have the hue on the can, let's go ahead and put a little bit more on the top here also. And look what happens when it dries out. Gives you like a textured look. Add a little bit of water, and look how it flows. See? Alright, so this is a closed can of oil that resembles a Coke can. Okay? Alright, so now what I like to do is I like to start with the shadows. And I typically leave sort of like a light or white area where I'm going to put the highlights. This time I didn't do that, I just covered it up. But I did do that with the avocado. So I'll show you how to do that in another video. So now I'm going to wet this brush, and I want to mix that crimson with a little bit of black. And I'm going to show you real quick what happens. It turns into a shade of red. Okay? So it's still red, but because we mix it with black, now check this out. It darkens it. It's still red, but it's like a darker shade of red. And I can put those shadows on this side of my object. And why can I do that? Because the light, we're pretending that the light is coming from the top right, coming down this way. Okay? So it's going to be illuminated here, around this area, but down here and back here you can darken it. Okay? So it has that that shade. Don't put too much black paint, just a little bit. Okay? You want to go slowly. You want to go subtle. Okay? Subtle is the key. Subtle is good for shading, you know, with black and white pencils, pencil drawings, and also with paint. You want to go subtle. You don't want to rush it unless you're making some crazy painting, but you don't want to rush it. All right, so here we're going to go even darker, and I did mix that crimson red with black, but this time I used a little bit more black. Now I'm going to wet it a little bit. You see how the red's kind of coming out. All right, so we're making some shadows. I'm going to darken that up a little bit. There we go. Okay, look at that. It looks like it's sitting on the table. Try not to put too much water like I'm doing right now, because it's gonna look more like a watercolor, which is fine because sometimes watercolor looks kind of cool. But these are acrylics, so you want them to be a little bit harsher and darker. Look at that. Very cool. All right. So that's I would consider this a shade of red. So we got the shade over here. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to, we are going to add some tones of red. And how do I do that? You can mix some gray with red, and you can even mix it with brown. Okay, I'm going to show you what it looks like with gray. Gray is, it kind of gives it this more like a dull look. And I know it looks like I'm messing up, but just bear with me, because we're putting some of that gray in the middle areas, not over here. We can even put some grays around the lid, the top of the can. Okay, it's going to give it a dull look. And then we're going to go ahead and put some of that crimson right on top of that. Right on top of that. Maybe add a little bit of water to help it flow. You see that? Let me see if I can turn away this light so you can see better. It's kind of shining over here, this lamp here. But it's looking pretty interesting. Okay? It's looking more realistic as we go along. Okay, let's add some more red right on top of it, and it'll pop up right back again. See? So we have the hues, we have the tones, and we got shade down here. We can even add, look, we can even throw into the mix the red with brown, and it's gonna give it a more a warmer look. I don't know if you can see that, but it does give it a warmer, like rust feel to it. Okay, if you want to go that route, because some shadows can look warmer and some shadows can look a little bit cooler. Um, so the cooler ones, you can mix things like blue and stuff like that, or even grays. When you put brown, like I said, it gives it that warm look. All right, so we have that, and let's go ahead and put some more, some crimson in there, and we're gonna finish up this area with the highlights. Okay, we're back. Let's see where we were. Okay, I'm cleaning up this brush here, and the water is turning sort of pink, like a tint of red, basically. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to create some highlights here on this can. Highlights are going to be on this side with a mixture of white. And remember to go subtle. Do not put big blotches of white on top of it. Make sure you go small with the strokes and then just kind of blend it in. Alright. So now what I'm going to do, as you can see, I'm going to take some of that red, that crimson. You know, I like to mix it on a different spot before I apply it to make sure it's the color that I want. Okay? You don't want to just scoop it all in and throw it in there like ice cream. It's going to look messy. Alright, so I got some white here. And as you can see, it's going to give me a tint of red. And we're going to place some of those highlights like this in a round form, because this is an oval here. And on this side, since it's going up and down, I'm going to make the highlight go down like this. And on the top, it's going to go a little bit rounder. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit more of the highlights there. And it does look like I'm exaggerating, because I sort of am. But now what I want to do is I kind of want to get rid of that white and put some pale crimson on top of it again. Why? Because I'm sort of like damping it. Okay, I'm kind of hiding it one more time, just like we did with the tones. I'm sort of hiding it so it doesn't look too obvious. Remember that when you do things subtly, it looks better if you're trying to achieve a realistic look. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and take some of that red and push into the highlights like that. See? I'm sort of hiding it now, making the highlight a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner, so it's not too obvious. There we go. Okay. Very nice. So it goes like this and down. And then this one is just a little bit round, like a moon or something. Okay, very cool. Let's give it a red outline here between the can and the lid. Okay. Look, I accidentally put some highlights there, but that's that. Just like Bob Ross said, this is a happy accident. I kind of like that. Looks cool. See? Sometimes little mistakes happen and they sort of work out. Okay, maybe I can put look, I can put another little highlight there. Let's see if we can get some of that light pink there. Yeah, pretty cool. And maybe just a little bit down here. Just a little bit. Okay. Alright, so now our can looks sort of 3D. I do want to add a little bit of a darker, a shade. No, not a shade, more like a tone. Tone of red. Mix with that brown there. Let's see if we can throw it in here. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Don't put too much, just like a little bit, like that. You gotta be careful. You don't want to overpower everything. And that brown is gonna kind of like settle in. That's the thing about acrylics, when they dry up it looks darker. Okay. Let's see if we can get some of this black here. It was kind of dried up, but I try to save it. I didn't want to waste it. So I'm gonna just write the word oil. What do you when you write words that are small or you have small objects? You want to go with a smaller brush. Okay. For writing, you want to go even smaller than this, like a very thin brush. When you have large areas, like the table or the wall, you want to get a bigger brush. Okay, because if you're gonna paint an area, a large area with a small brush, you're gonna take forever. It's gonna take you like an entire year to do the whole thing. You don't want to do that. So remember, for small areas, small brushes, larger areas, larger brushes. Okay, so we have the word oil. I'm not gonna make it perfect. It's just an old can. Boom, look at that, it looks all rusted, and we pulled it out. Went to Grandpa's shed and we found a bunch of old stuff that he kept since the 70s, and now it's here in our painting. All right, very cool. Let's add a little bit of a darker shade. I added some water here. I do have a little bit of black, maybe a little bit of red, and I'm gonna make that even darker. But look at that, I went too far. I went too far. I should have left it alone, but I didn't. I didn't. Sometimes I don't listen to myself. So now, when you run into that problem, try to kind of like waste the paint that's in your brush already. Kind of try to get it to dry like that by spreading it in different places. Okay, we're back. Let's see where we were. Okay, I'm cleaning up this brush here, and the water is turning sort of pink, like a tint of red, basically. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to create some highlights here on this can. Highlights are going to be on this side with a mixture of white. And remember to go subtle. Do not put big blotches of white on top of it. Make sure you go small with the strokes and then just kind of blend it in. Alright. So now what I'm going to do, as you can see, I'm going to take some of that red, that crimson. You know, I like to mix it on a different spot before I apply it to make sure it's the color that I want. Okay? You don't want to just scoop it all in and throw it in there like ice cream. It's going to look messy. Alright, so I got some white here. And as you can see, it's going to give me a tint of red. And we're going to place some of those highlights like this in the round form, because this is an oval here. And on this side, since it's going up and down, I'm going to make the highlight go down like this. And on the top, it's going to go a little bit rounder. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit more of the highlights there. And it does look like I'm exaggerating, because I sort of am. But now what I want to do is I kind of want to get rid of that white and put some pale crimson on top of it again. Why? Because I'm sort of like damping it. Okay, I'm kind of hiding it one more time, just like we did with the tones. I'm sort of hiding it so it doesn't look too obvious. Remember that when you do things subtly, it looks better if you're trying to achieve a realistic look. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and take some of that red and push into the highlights like that. See? I'm sort of hiding it now, making the highlight a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner, so it's not too obvious. There we go. Okay. Very nice. So it goes like this and down, and then this one is just a little bit round, like a moon or something. Okay, very cool. Let's give it a red outline here between the can and the lid. Okay. Look, I accidentally put some highlights there, but that's just like Bob Ross said, this is a happy accident. I kind of like that. It looks cool. See? Sometimes little mistakes happen and they sort of work out. Okay, maybe I can put look, I can put another little highlight there. Let's see if we can get some of that light pink there. Yeah, pretty cool. And maybe just a little bit down here. Just a little bit. Okay. Alright, so now our can looks sort of 3D. I do want to add a little bit of a darker, a shade. No, not a shade, more like a tone. Tone of red. Mix with that brown there. Let's see if we can throw it in here. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Don't put too much, just like a little bit, like that. You gotta be careful. You don't want to overpower everything. And that brown is gonna kind of like settle in. That's the thing about acrylics, when they dry up, it looks darker. Okay. Let's see if we can get some of this black here. It was kind of dried up, but I try to save it. I didn't want to waste it. So I'm gonna just write the word oil. What do you when you write words that are small or you have small objects? You want to go with a smaller brush. Okay. For writing, you want to go even smaller than this, like a very thin brush. When you have large areas, like the table or the wall, you want to get a bigger brush. Okay, because if you're gonna paint an area, a large area with a small brush, you're gonna take forever. It's gonna take you like an entire year to do the whole thing. You don't want to do that. So remember, for small areas, small brushes, larger areas, larger brushes. Okay, so we have the word oil. I'm not gonna make it perfect. It's just an old can. Boom, look at that, it looks all rusted, and we pulled it out. Went to Grandpa's shed and we found a bunch of old stuff that he kept since the 70s, and now it's here in our painting. All right, very cool. Let's add a little bit of a darker shade. I added some water here. I do have a little bit of black, maybe a little bit of red, and I'm gonna make that even darker. But look at that, I went too far. I went too far. I should have left it alone, but I didn't. I didn't. Sometimes I don't listen to myself. So now, when you run into that problem, try to kind of like waste the paint that's in your brush already. Kind of try to get it to dry like that by spreading it in different places. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. It'll dry up. And then if it's too dark, you can always go back and throw a little bit of the original hue, the original color, the red, right back on top of it. And look at that. Brightens it up one more time. Very cool. And I'm going to darken this area just for effect. Bam! And look at that. Oil can. Very cool. And you see how it has the shadows here, and it has the highlights. See, on this side. And I did it all with blending red with black or white or gray and even browns. And we'll give you that realistic look. Very nice. Okay? Very nice. Alright, I'm going to take a little break, and we're going to go ahead and paint this flower here. I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. Alright? We'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and this time we're going to move on and paint this flower. And I'm going to show you sort of like a quick way to paint flowers, even though you may not know how to make flowers. So I went ahead and I did find a smaller brush. This is perfect for writing letters and things like that, or signing your name. We're going to use this for the stems of the flowers. Okay, so I'm going to put that away for now. I am going to get this brush here that's a little bit bigger. Typically for petals, you want to use a rounder brush, but I don't really have a small round brush right now, so we'll just do with this one. Actually, this one is pretty round. Yeah, this one's pretty round, but it's got a lot of dirty water in it, so I want a clean brush. This one's a little cleaner, and I got my clean water here, This used to be an ice cream uh, cup or something. Anyway, so I am going to use my crimson again because I still have some left, and I'm going to use some black that I have here for the very middle of the flower. So what you want to do is you want to start off um, at the edges of the flower and sort of make these like these quick circular strokes. And when you do that, your eye thinks that it's a bunch of petals being uh, smushed together. But it's actually just dabs of paint. Okay? This is like an impressionistic style. It's sort of gives you an optical illusion. And as we get into the center, we want to get rid of some of that excess paint. Okay, we do want some white spots to kind of show through. We don't want to cover the entire thing. So look what I did. I sort of dried my brush out a little bit. So now I have a drier brush, and the petals in the middle look a little bit lighter. That's what I want. And I'm just doing this, going like in circles like this. Okay? You can make some petals sort of stick out like that. And look, from far away it does look like a flower. And now what I want to do is I want to mix some of that that crimson with black. Give it a shade of red. I'm going to put some black. Kind of mix it right here on my plate. And I'm going to just give it like a quick stroke like this. Like that. Like that. Little dabs. And voila, that's it. Let me go ahead and do that on this flower. Darken it up. I'll probably put some darker strokes here. And that kind of looks like it looks like flowers, you know. Look, if I zoom in, it looks like blobs of paint. But if I zoom out, you actually think that they're flowers. See? That's impressionism for you. There you go. Okay, very cool. And now what I'm going to do, let me get this in focus. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to take my small brush. Let me wet it real quick. And most of you are going to take black and just throw it in there right away. I don't really want to do that. I want to sort of blend that black with probably some brown or even gray. I don't want it to be extremely dark. I want it kind of like a dull color. Okay? And that way it looks a little bit more natural. So I'm going to put it here. And look how it's kind of dry. Okay? Remember that you can always put a little bit of water on the tip and it'll help it flow better. Okay? And I do want, as I get down here, I do want these stems to sort of fade away. I want them to fade away because they're going into the glass. Okay, that's why I said don't make it too dark, because I want them to fade away as we get into the vase. Okay, and how can I do that? You can add a little bit of more water and sort of like kind of water it down a little bit. But use a small, thin brush. Okay? Get a little A little bit of paint kind of went off here. So we're gonna pretend these are what do you call that? Uh, Thorns. Yeah, we're gonna pretend that they're little thorns. There you go. Okay, and then I'm gonna water this down. And as you can see, let's go ahead and zoom out. It's mostly water now. Look at that. So it turns gray. I can even put some on the side of the vase. But make sure that you use the tip. Use the very tip of that brush, or else you're gonna like, you see what happened here? It kind of flattens it, and it looks kind of, I don't know, it doesn't look appealing. You can flatten it at the bottom of the vase, that's okay. But on the side you wanna stay clean with thin lines. See, I did it again right here. Accidentally flattened it. Okay. See if we can redo that. Yeah, when you do these lines here, these thin lines, make sure that your brush is kind of dry, okay? Because when it's wet, it sort of like spreads out. Alright, so look at that. With just a couple strokes, we got some nice flowers there. We got you gotta get rid of that. This is from the brush. It's peeling off because it's old. So we got this nice vase here with a wash of blue. We got our avocado, and we have our paint can here. Very cool. Looks like a beautiful still life. The next step that we're going to do, is that we're going to go ahead and paint the table. Okay, and we have to be careful to go around everything. So I'm probably going to use a smaller brush here, and a larger brush here. And then we're going to give it another wash for the background, and we're going to call it a day. Okay, I'm going to start using my bigger brush. All right, so then I don't take forever. I just want to do something kind of quick. Since I do have a little bit of this light brown, I decided to use that for the table. And for the background, I'm thinking maybe using my least favorite color, orange, like a light orange. I think will be okay. So if you have a little bit of space between objects, use a smaller brush. To get into those little creases and crevices, little white areas, little spots there. What I do like to do is I like to paint the back a little bit darker than the front. But that's just something that I do. Okay. So here it's a little bit darker, it's a little bit bolder, more paint. And as we come down, I like to spread out the paint until it gets very, very light. Okay. So I'm going to lay it all down with brown. So this is more of a drier brush. Okay. You can even lay it on top of the shadows. It's okay. It's supposed to do that anyway, because the shadow is on top of the table. So if it's on top of the table, it should blend in with the brown. Just like that. See? Alright, and now I'm going to do this side here. You get this little area right there. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to get this edge here of the table a little bit more brown. And then I start coming down like this. You don't want to paint your table up and down like this. You want to go side to side, okay? To give it the illusion that it's wide. If you do it like up and down, it's going to look strange. Alright, so far I have this. It's looking pretty good, okay? You can, if you want to, with a almost like a dry brush. I'm getting rid of all that brown there, and then you can even put a little bit of that brown, look, very lightly into the middle of the vase. Look at that. But you have to use a lot of water. You have to use a lot of water and then dry out the brush. So clear it out with water, dry out the brush, and there's still a little bit of brown left in there. And look, we can do that. And it looks like it's the glass shows through. You know? Into the surface of the table. Okay, but it's just a trick, see? So remember, sometimes if you want to make things look clear or see-through, use a little bit of paint and some water, okay? Because you want to give it that soft, clear look. If you put too much paint, you're going to get something like this or like that, okay? You don't want to do that with glass, okay? Just a couple areas can be dark, but most of it is a wash. All right. So I don't really need this anymore. I am going to take my larger brush this time, and I can take some of that brown, and we are going to go left to right. Okay? Just that in this case, right here, I'm going to go from the edge of the can to the right, because I don't want to do this. Looking pretty cool. You can add a little bit of water. Where's my water? Okay, right here. Use a little bit of water to help spread it out. Look at that. We're spreading out that color, and this is what a wash is. Basically, it's a hue that has been diluted a lot with water. And it gives it, this is good for like oceans and things like that. You want to make something look like fog or mist, you give it a wash. Okay, so here I'm going to paint this a little bit darker. And I am going kind of up and down a little bit, but then I'm going to go side to side. Okay, so I'm not doing the whole thing like this. Okay, even though I told you don't do up and down, you can do that if you plan to stop somewhere and then go left to right. So I'm going to stop right down here, and that's when I start going to the left. See? There we go. Very nice. Okay, so I guess this table is going to be a little bit clear. I kind of don't like how that looks, so I'm going to add more paint to that area. Okay, there we go. Okay, now it's looking interesting. Remember to stay. You want to stay outside of the shapes this time. Before it was inside the shapes, now you want to stay outside of the shapes. Now I'm going to darken it all the way to this edge. And now we're going to wet this brush and spread it out, going left to right, but we're going downwards like this. We're up here and then we're doing this. Okay? We didn't do this. Just a little bit here. But we're not doing this. We're painting left to right and we're coming down slowly. Okay, so now you can't really see, but I'm covering up the bottom with a wash of brown. Okay. Let's see. And it should look something like that. Very cool, huh? Very, very cool. Let's see. Let's give it a look. Look at that. See? It's not perfect, and that's okay. It's okay if it's not perfect. There's a couple spots. You can even put some dark spots, you know, here and there. Look at like this. Look. You can accidentally go like, whoops, you know, and that's okay. See? It looks natural. It's kind of like wood, you know? There's some light spots, there's some dark spots. You can even do that. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's give it some couple little dark spots here. There's another one there. And but you know, you kind of want to spread it out a little bit. And it gives it a natural look. Look at that. Very cool, huh? Very cool. All right, so now I'm going to clean out this brush. I'm going to clean out my water because my water is getting kind of dirty now. And the last thing that we are going to do is that we're going to give it a wash of orange. I have decided that this one's going to be lighter, so I'm not going to darken it too much. But we're going to finish this up, okay? If you decide to make a white wall, think about putting some gray areas at the bottom and then go up from there and then turn the whole thing white. Okay, so that way it has some dimension. It's not just we are back and we're going to do the last step. I thought about it and I decided not to do pure orange, but we're going to mix orange with yellow. And we're going to do a yellow-orange background. Okay, I'm thinking that it's going to look good with these colors. So let's see what that's going to look like. So first thing you want to do, you want to wet your brush just a little bit. I did get new water here. Look how clear that is. We're going to wet the brush a little bit, and I'm going to take some, I think I'm going to take some yellow and then a little bit of orange, and I get this sort of like tangerine color. Okay, very cool. Sometimes orange is pretty cool. Depends what it looks like. Okay, this is pretty nice. Looks like a sunset. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the bottom of the wall where it meets the table. Okay, where it meets the table. And you can actually go darker here. You can put more orange. And then I'm going to blend it out with water. As we go up, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go left to right. Okay, not up and down, but left to right. When it's a small little area like this, it doesn't really matter if you go up and down. But when you're doing large areas, it does. It does matter. Okay, and I should have used a smaller brush because now it's kind of getting into the can. Alright, so I'm gonna get that small round brush here. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put it in here. I'm gonna go all the way to the top right there. Same thing here. As you can see, we covered that up. Very nice. Very, very nice. Look at that. It looks like a sunset or something. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead and do this area. Be careful because I'm using a larger brush, so I have to be careful. But once I get here, it doesn't really matter. But when I'm down here, it does. Okay, so now I stay at the very edge of this vase, and bam. Okay, I made it. I made it. Maybe I can fix this avocado later, right there, but since I'm doing a demo, I want to get this over with so you guys can go and do your thing. All right, it's looking good here. Okay, we got that covered up. Let's go from here. At the edge of this wall where it meets the table, let's go a little bit darker. There we go. And look at that, I'm gradually going up. I'm going left to right, but I'm moving my brush upwards. The direction is going up. Here you can kind of do that sort of an up and down stroke. That's okay, but then go back to left and right. Okay, so I think at this point we can start doing our wash. Let's go ahead and take some of that, and we are going to add a little bit of water, or actually a little bit more than usual, and we start spreading it out like this. It's okay to have some white spaces. It gives it a dreamy look. So don't worry too much about like, oh, it's completely perfectly painted. No, just let loose, you know? Let loose. Look, it looks like the sun is shining or something. It's looking more yellow than orange now. So let's add a little bit more orange tints. You can even mix it with, if you want to make it even brighter or lighter, you can mix it with white. Let's see what that looks like. Do we have any white? There we go. We got a little bit of white. Oops. It's got green in there. Okay, maybe I shouldn't use it. Alright, let's see what that looks like. That looks kind of interesting. Alright, and I'm giving it another, I'll keep going with the wash over here on this side. Add more orange. Orange everywhere. When I get to the flowers, be careful, just go around the flowers. Don't go over the flowers. Guys, do not paint over the flowers, go around it. Around it. The tip of this brush keeps hitting the lens of the camera. I should raise this camera up a little bit more. Alright, and here. Looking pretty good. And look, with the wash, it has that dreamy sort of look. Okay. Let's see if I don't really like this area right here. I am going to put more orange, and then I'm going to paint it until it runs out of orange. And that way it looks natural. The gradient goes from dark into light. And I think Yeah, let's go ahead and cover up this area right here. Some orange, like that. Left to right, right to left. And it looks kind of cloudy. And voila! Let's put some little bit of orange, very light orange. Make sure that it's pretty dry. All that paint has kind of come off. You can put a little bit of orange, kind of reflecting in there. There you go. Okay, I didn't put a whole lot. Okay, remember that. Just a little bit. All right. What do you guys think? Look at that. That is pretty cool. And another thing I can do, and which I am going to do right now, I'm going to put a very dark orange, because I still got a bunch of orange left. And I'm going to outline this dark. I gotta be careful because I don't want to get paint somewhere else that I don't want. There we go. Here and here. Okay, there we go. That's kind of cool. And maybe we can sort of blend that out by getting a brush without any color. And look at that. Just put a little bit of water in there and you kind of soften that line a little bit. So it kind of disappears. There you go. Look at that. Looks like 3 objects on. Okay. As I was saying, it does look like some sort of a sunset. I'm not really sure if it's indoors or outdoors. To make your picture look like it's indoors, you can put something in the background, like a picture or a window. But this, I'm just gonna leave it like that. I do like the orange with the brown and the green here on the avocado, and also the other objects. It looks pretty cool. Okay, all I gotta do, and all you have to do is maybe at the bottom you just sign your name with a very small brush, and then you're good to go. Turn that in and make sure it has 3 objects. Okay, make sure it has some highlights and some shadows. You don't have to be too complicated like I did. You can do something simpler, but it was a lot of fun. Okay, so this is a still life. Let me show you real quick another still life. Hang on, let me show you real quick another still life that I made for a Chinese school that I worked at. I was the art teacher. And as you can see, these are some realistic looking fruit. Okay, as you can see, I made the light source come from this side. So we got shadows on the opposite side, and we got highlights on the left side. See? This time my surface was brown. I did mix it with grays to give it a darker look. And I gave it like a sky blue, either a wall or sky, whatever this is. I did the same thing here. There you go. All right, guys. Thank you for coming to the Hidden Cellar, and hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please give some comments below. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. And you're going to see more art lessons coming soon. Thank you so much. Have a good one.